Well, hello from Walla Walla, Washington, home of Bugs Bunny and the Little Giant Vacuum Cleaner Company. Well, in my little garage here, I want to show you something you might find interesting about D1-6 spindles. Now, the smallest normal chuck for a D1-6 spindle is like this Cushman 8-inch direct mount chuck. Buck happened to make a D1-6 mount for their 6-inch adjust true chucks, but that's kind of a different deal. But the smallest normal chuck of a 3-jaw would be an 8-inch, like this direct mount Cushman. Bison makes one similar. And what I'm going to do is mount, and I already have, and I'll show you the problems with that, is an 8-inch 4-jaw. Now, the normal small chuck for a D1-6 spindle is 10-inch. And when you shrink it down to 8-inch, then you start running into mounting problems. And I'll show you a solution that it's the aftermarket companies, including Shaw's, sells to mount an 8-inch chuck. And that's right over here. And this is an import mounting plate for an 8-inch chuck. But you also see these 3 holes here. Well, this is what Bowstar sold with this collet chuck. So they Bowstar mounted this collet chuck to this, what Shaw's sells as an 8-inch 4-jaw chuck adapter. And you can see how thick it is. And you can see how they extended it out. And there's the holes for the 4-jaw chuck there. They intrude into the normal taper of the D1-6 taper. Also A1-6 too is that same taper. So this Bowstar chuck here, this 5C collet chuck, which is a copy of a Bison, and the Bison is a copy of a Cushman product at one time. But these Bowstar chucks are really quite accurate, or they can be. Some of them are full of metal. This one seems to be fine. I haven't broke it apart, but it's really quite accurate. And I mounted it on a thin back plate here that had over the years all kinds of things mounted to it, and it had enough room to cut a shoulder and mount that Bowstar chuck. So what I'm going to do, okay, so as far back to the Bowstar with that chuck on here, they had it on sale for I think like $150, including shipping. Oh, during the COVID lockdown, things were pretty cheap, and shipping was cheaper and all that. So I got this back plate that Shaw's sells for $110, and I wanted to mount that 8-inch 4-jaw Union steel body chuck there to this Axelson. So I was either buy this for $110 from Shaw's, or buy it for $40 more and get that 5C collet chuck for $40. You know, take a chance on that, and it's a good chuck. So I bought that, took it off this. You can see the 3 holes for that. and adapted it to that plate there that's just looks like Swiss cheese, but it works just fine. Then drilled this for get all tangled up there for the forejaw. And I just was doing some tests with these aluminum bars, and I couldn't hold aluminum bar with this forejaw with that extended like that, or the shape of it. See how it's hollow? Without getting a bunch of chatter. And this is really a good steel-bodied union chuck. And I'm going to mount it to this thinner plate that it's just quite a bit thinner. Let me move that over. And it's going to end up a little bit thinner yet. You see that's about an inch shorter. And when I get done with it, I'll have it a little bit more than an inch closer to the spindle and not have this hollow area like that. And I'm going to snug this thing up to the spindle as much as possible. Now, what I run into, see, you run into things when you're doing stuff like this, and I take artistic license and do a lot of things. So what I did is, let me see if I got that caliper here. So I set this caliper to the widest OD of that chuck mount, and you can see it goes into the pins. And this is a pretty thin piece. Somebody made this. So this was given to me by Will the Blade long time ago. And somebody machined this. It's like 4140 chrome steel. So what I have to do to get a shoulder on this to go into this chuck here is shorten those pins. You can see this almost flush there. And I went and I machined these pins down, and they're hardened, and I got one to go. And since this is not cast iron and it's 4140, I feel I could get along with the pins being about a 1/4 inch shorter on the threaded section without, without a failure. So I think I'll be fine there. And I have one more pin to machine, and I'll take it out and put it in the lathe, and we'll do that. Okay, now these D-type mount pins, this is one for the D1-6 spindle on this axle set. They're heat treated and hardened. So what I like to do with stuff like this is try an inexpensive carbide insert, okay? Like what I mean by inexpensive, I've got some, at an auction or somewhere, I bought a quantity of these TNMG 332 inserts here. And they cost, I got, they were new, but bought a batch of them, a few boxes. Then I picked up this holder for them, and if I got something nasty to machine, I'll first go to that, especially, like the outside of parts are often hardened, harder than the inside. So it's better for me, in my opinion, to use that rather than this quite expensive Walter Tiger Cut insert. Those are pretty expensive. And that's DNMG 432. So this costs quite a bit more. There's 4 cutting edges on these diamond shape, and there's 6 cutting edges on the TNMG triangular, okay? So this is more economical. Negative rake, so you flip it over. If it's a positive, T-style insert. You could only use one side, but this is the negative right. Okay, so I'm going to tackle it with that, and I'll get this mounted in the chuck here. Put that in there. Kind of got a hollow, so I got to put that between the jaws. Just about like that. I want to hold on to it a pretty good grip. So I'm going to use all three pinions, kind of slowly snug up on it. Then I'll finish tightening it with the master pinion. The pinion I use when I grind the jaws true. Okay, that's in there good and snug. And I'm going to run this thing at a fairly slow speed, 351 RPM. That looks good. I'm going to put some cutting wax on that. And I'm going to take 200 thousandths off of it in steps. Get that over here. Get that camera kind of tilted. I think that'll work pretty good like that, and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'll get it going. I get feedback. People like to see me just doing kind of the normal things that I do. It kind of helps people just get an idea where to start with something like this. So I'm going to set this travel dial to 0, set the big dial to 0 and the little dial to 0. And then I'll run it in 200 thousandths in steps here. Okay. And back the tool off just a little bit. Take about 100 thousandths off the diameter. And the dial here is 0 to 400 thousandths, so I just give it a quarter turn, and I'm about 100 thousandths. I got the power feed on set at 3 thousandths, and here we go. Watching that travadial. Okay, that's 200 thousandths depth. 351 RPM. Taking 100 thousandths off the diameter. 50 thousandths depth there. I'll just keep hitting it. Stop right on the 0. Fit it in another 100 thou. Or 50 thou, taking 100 off the diameter. Okay, I'm going to do it again. How's that looking? Yeah, that'll just about take it. Put a little lube on there. Just leaves a little tiny bit there. stops on a dime and gives you 9 cents change. Now I'm going to feed it in just about 3/1000 and face it. And I'll take that little tip off there. All right. Now I'm going to take a file and I'm going to file this a bit. It's kind of hard, so I'm kind of going real easy. I just want to bevel it just a little bit. Making that cut, see, push the threads together and it won't thread in. Unless you fiddle with it a little bit. I'm just filing it until it feels smooth. It's about a 45-degree bevel. Okay. We'll stop it. And I'm going to take it out of gear. Now, I got this file in the thread here. It's a little triangular file. I made an aluminum handle for it some time ago. And I'm going to drop it in the thread. When I push it forward, I bear down on it. When I pull it back, I hold it lightly, so I'm not filing backwards, dulling the thread. But what this allows me to do is keep it in that thread. And I'm going to take care of that burr on the end. Pulling it back lightly, then bearing down on it, going forward. I'm getting really near the beginning of that where it's mooshed over and it slipped off, and that's where the problem is. Bearing down, going forward, and just keeping it in the groove coming back. Okay, it slipped off, and I'm going to hold it more flat and work on that entrance of that thread. And I can kind of see it. Kind of mushed over a little bit there. So I'm finding where the thread starts to be a whole thread instead of half a thread, and put a little ramp on it. Then working backwards a little bit, getting rid of any burr, and there's like a burr from doing that. Let me get that. Okay, what I found is, let me find the wrench here and I'll take that loose. Got it out of gear. Okay. Now I'm going to set it down on the wing here. Let me get that. So hopefully the camera won't fall over. It probably will. Right about there, I think you can see it and the camera won't fall over. I found just holding it by hand and working it the same way. Find the beginning of it. I can kind of get the little more detail on it and make it a little nicer. Get that little first little thread going. Yeah, you see? You can see that right there. It's got a nice start there right now. It's a tool. You want it to be right. I'm going to roll this file around on the first start of that and get rid of any distorted threads there. Oh, it looks really good, a really good start there. I hope you can see that. It just looks real good. And we'll give it a try. I'll go over here to where it goes and see if it goes in. Hopefully it'll do it. Yeah, there's no problem. I kind of had it nice and smooth. Goes in without any bind. Then I can set the basic depth with the dial caliper here. And with these pens, it's right about 1 3/4 inches. Right in there. 1.740, it should be good. Okay, I'll get the little screw in there. And I got one to put in here too. And I just put them in finger tight at first because I might have to adjust them. Okay, I'll get this over and mount it in the spindle. Okay, I've got that back plate that's made out of 4140 chrome steel and mounted there, and I'm going to reduce the diameter. It doesn't need to be that big. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm using the general purpose cutter for the go-to for our geared head lathe. And it is a CNMG 432. The standard for just about a lot of things. So we'll start cutting that down. I got a feed of 9 thousandths. Gave it a little test there and it's breaking the chip. Don't want to get wound up in chips, so we'll adjust the feed as needed. Get this on the tripod. Yep, that's it. Okay, the spindle speed is 473. We'll get her going. And we'll play around with how much to feed it in. Not in any big hurry, that's for sure. Okay. Touch it off there. I'll try feeding it in 50 thou. See if it'll swallow that. 9 thousandths feed. Here we go. That's breaking the chips good enough, and they're hot. Taking about 100 thousandths off the diameter each cut. Doesn't even slow the machine down. I could take bigger cuts, but this is just fine. It'll get there. Now, take another 100 thousandths off that. Hold on here. I gotta take my carriage stop off. Almost got it. There we go. There we go, we'll clear it now. Another 100 thou. Everything looks good. You see it start to spark a little bit. You're about at maximum feed, or speed I should say. They're getting closer. 50 thousandths depth, 100 thousandths off the diameter. Feeding at 9 thousandths. Nice finish. Beautiful finish. Let's see, where's that brush? I gotta watch my cable here. I hope it's still working. It looks like the chips are melting into it. So we'll get that microphone cable out of the way. Okay, I'll hook it back here. See if we can stop that nonsense. Okay. Back at it. 50,000th depth seems to be a charm. I put that microphone cable over my shoulder. Beautiful. Breaking the chips just fine. That CNG insert is a real workhorse. And these are some old Valronite inserts I've had for a long time. They don't make that brand anymore. just shooting them things off, and they're hot. You got to stay out of the way. I'm going to give it maybe 1 or 2 more whacks and call it good. Yeah, it's starting to ball up a little bit. Give it 1 more. $50,000 step there. Okay, I'll get set up and we'll punch a hole in the front of it. Okay, I have got a 3/4 shank, 1.5 inch drill bit in a Jacobs number 20 Super Chuck, running at the slowest speed in high range. And I might have to go to low range, so we'll give it a shot here. Got the tailstock in low speed. We'll start easing it in. Now I got about a 3/16 inch pilot hole going there. Looks okay so far. About through it here pretty quick. Now that's just awful. It's a Chinese drill bit. It's never been sharpened. It felt pretty sharp, but it's basically only cutting on 1 flute. So I'll have to sharpen that thing. But anyway, I got a hole punched in it. And I'll get a boring bar and get that hole the size of a hole in the chuck. I have a little problem with the computer chip or the SD chip for the camera. For some reason it shows chip failure, so I reformatted it. I lost a little bit of footage, so I have to jump ahead. I went ahead and machined this and got this step that fits into the recess here in this chuck, and I just got to trim it just a little bit more, so I'll go ahead and do that. You get the idea, I think. So this is kind of a custom application, adapting a 8-inch chuck to a D1-6 spindle, And a 10-inch chuck is the normal size, so it's just a little bit of problems. But I'm making it work. Okay, I'm running this at 351. I'm cutting a little bit into those hardened pins, but that shouldn't really be much of a problem. And I just got to take a little bit of a facing cut. I've got a D1-6 432 diamond insert, diamond shape. It's carbide, and it's a Walter Tiger cut. So I'm going to run the crossfeed at about 7 thousandths. I'm going to touch it off here. Everything out of the way. I'm going to take 20 thousandths, and that'll give the clearance I need. It's touched. And I'll feed it in 20 thousandths. Okay, here it goes. Got some lube on there. Gonna cut across those hardened pins, and as soon as I hit them, I'm gonna feed it by hand. That's it. Just gonna ease it by hand now across that face there where the holes are. The pins are hardened, but I cut them back, and they got a soft core, so it should be just fine. Getting a nice finish out of this machine here is normal, particularly on like 4140. Just almost to that shoulder. I got the tool at an angle, so I'm going to kind of slightly dig it in a little bit. Just about like that, and that should be good. Okay. Okay, the only thing left to do here is drill the holes. I'm gonna knock that sharp edge off real quick. It's sharp like a knife. Let's see, get it over there a little bit. That did it. Okay, now I'm going to fit it to the chuck, and I'll be right back. Okay, back to these chuck mounts. Now I did have that forge mounted to this, and then I took and modified this back plate here. It got it as short as possible. You see I cut into the pins. After I shortened them almost 1/4 of an inch. So I'm not going to get much closer to the spindle with an 8-inch standard forge chuck. But I got this fitting really good. We'll get it over here and see if I can get it to drop in. There we are. just fits. There's no shake, and it rotates and contacts where it's supposed to. So this should help this chuck, and I'll drill the holes and put the screws in it. Now I've got this mount, and I go, well, what am I going to do with that? I already got the that collet chuck. It's piled with rags here. They came on it, mounted on something shorter. So on this one, I dug out this old 4.5-inch Skinner, which is really a heavy-duty 4.5-inch chuck. I salvaged this off an old rivet grinding machine that was at the junkyard here. It was all rusted up and broken and parts missing. And I cleaned this chuck up, and I can mount it. I've used it on this dividing head, and plus on the cutter grinder work head there in the 50 taper. I have a 50 taper mount that this will go on to. So I'm going to mount it to this, and it should be good and sturdy for what I'm going to do, and use this for small steam model parts. I got a couple of steam model projects to work on, so that'll be handy for holding those small parts. Easier than the 8-inch, and I got a 12-inch, which is humongous. So I'm on my way to having this work, and I'll get it mounted and see if that eliminated the chatter. Okay, I just thought I would show what I'm kicking around here and how I kind of do things, and I will be back with more stuff. So thanks for tuning in.